Why are you still afraid when I am standing right here with you? My beloved child, do you feel the weight in your chest when the night grows quiet and your thoughts become louder than your faith? Do you wonder if your prayers reached heaven or if they fell somewhere between your tears and your silence? Do you ask yourself why the road has been so hard when you tried to walk right? Why love hurt you? Why doors closed? Why people you trusted walked away? Why your strength feels smaller every morning? Listen carefully now, because I have been with you in every unseen moment. I was there when you smiled in front of others but broke inside. I was there when you whispered my name instead of screaming your pain. I was there when you felt unworthy, forgotten, delayed, and misunderstood. And even then, I never turned my face away from you. You think I measure you by your failures, but I measure you by your heart. You think I count how many times you fall, but I count how many times you still reach for me. My child, I did not call you to live in fear or shame. I called you to live in trust, even when the path makes no sense, even when the storm does not stop, even when the answers do not come on your schedule. Because faith is not built in comfort, it is formed in surrender. You keep asking for signs while I'm asking for your trust. You keep waiting to feel strong while I'm asking you to walk while you feel weak. Do you not know that my strength shows itself most clearly when you finally stop pretending you can do everything on your own? I see how you replay old memories, how regret tries to convince you that you are defined by yesterday. But I am telling you now that your past is not your prison. It is only proof of how far I have already carried you. There were moments you should not have survived, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Yet here you are, breathing, hoping, still longing for something more. That is not an accident. That is my hand upon your life. You worry about tomorrow as if I will suddenly stop being God when the sun rises again. You fear loss as if my love is temporary, but I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. The world may change its promises, but I never change mine. My child, I know your secret prayers, the ones you are afraid to speak out loud, the ones you think are too small or too broken for me to answer. I know the longing in your heart for peace, for stability, for love that stays, for purpose that feels real. And I am not ignoring you, I'm preparing you, because if I gave you everything at once, your faith would not be ready to carry it. Delay is not denial, silence is not absence, and waiting is not punishment, it is training. You have been asking me to remove the pain, but sometimes I use the pain to remove what would destroy you later. You ask why I allow certain people to leave, but I see what you cannot see. I know who would limit your growth, who would distract your calling, who would keep you tied to a version of yourself I am trying to heal. Trust me when I close doors you were begging to keep open. Trust me when I break routines you felt safe inside. Trust me when I lead you into unfamiliar territory, because I never guide without guarding. I never send without staying. I never ask without providing. My child, stop measuring your worth by how others treat you. Stop letting rejection speak louder than my voice. You are chosen even when you feel overlooked. You are loved even when you feel lonely. You are protected even when you feel exposed. Do not confuse my patience with my absence. I am working beneath the surface, aligning things you cannot yet see, softening hearts you think will never change, opening paths you think are blocked forever. You see obstacles, I see opportunities. You see delay, I see divine timing. You see weakness, I see dependence. And dependence on me will always be your greatest strength. Remember when you thought you could not make it through, yet you did. Remember when you thought it was the end, yet it became a beginning. Those were not coincidences, those were reminders. And I'm reminding you again now that you are not walking alone. Even when no one understands your journey, even when your progress feels slow, even when your prayers feel unanswered, I am closer than your breath, my child. I know you are tired of being strong, tired of holding on, tired of hoping again after disappointment. But do not give up now. Not when healing is closer than you think. Not when breakthrough is forming quietly. Not when your story is still unfolding. You are not late. You are not forgotten. And you are not behind. You are exactly where I can shape you best. Stop rushing what requires refinement. Stop comparing your path to others. I did not design you to copy. I designed you to become. Every tear you cried has been counted. Every prayer you whispered has been heard. Every moment you chose faith over fear mattered more than you know. My child, when the noise of the world tells you that you are not enough, remember that I was enough on the cross for you. When guilt tries to remind you of who you were, remember who I say you are now. Forgiven, redeemed, loved beyond measure, and called with purpose. You do not need to earn. My love, you do not need to prove your value. You only need to remain. Remain in trust, remain in obedience, remain in hope even when feelings shift, because feelings are temporary, but my word is eternal. I am teaching you to walk by faith, not by sight, because what you see now is not the final picture. There is more ahead than behind, more healing than hurt, more clarity than confusion. If you could see what I am preparing, you would understand why I asked you to wait, why I asked you to let go, why I asked you to trust me in the dark. My child, listen to me now and let this truth settle into your heart. Now lift your heart and listen, because the season you are entering is not ordinary. It is not random. It is not late. It is the appointed time that has been quietly moving toward you even while you doubted it was coming. This is the moment when what you survived begins to make sense. When the tears you thought were wasted become the seeds of your next joy. When the pressure you endured turns into the strength you prayed for. My child, your good fortune is not luck. It is alignment. It is the moment when heaven and your obedience meet. You are stepping into days where peace will no longer feel fragile, where hope will no longer feel risky, where your heart will rest without constantly bracing for loss. The time of constant struggle is loosening its grip. The cycle of delay is breaking, and the weight you have carried for so long is beginning to lift. You may not see fireworks or hear thunder, but you will notice quiet shifts, sudden clarity, unexpected ease, conversations that open doors instead of closing them, opportunities that feel natural instead of forced, because blessing does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it arrives gently, like light filling a room before you even realize the darkness is gone. This is a favored season where what once resisted you will begin to respond, where effort will produce fruit, where trust will feel easier than fear, where your heart will recognize peace as familiar again. You're entering a time where restoration is not just promised but experienced, where relationships heal or are replaced with healthier connections, where finances stabilize or grow in ways that remove anxiety rather than increase it, where your purpose feels clearer and your steps feel guided instead of guessed. Do not underestimate this time, because it is shaping a future that will require the maturity you gained through hardship. This is not a reward for perfection. It is a response to endurance. You stayed when it was easier to quit. You believed when it hurt to hope. You chose to keep going even when you felt unseen, and now the unseen work is becoming visible. The atmosphere around you is changing, and you will feel it first within, a calm confidence replacing constant worry, a steady trust replacing restless questions. My child, this is the season where you stop chasing and start receiving, where you stop striving and start aligning, where you realize that what you needed most was not speed but timing, not answers but trust. And now timing is working for you. Doors that once felt heavy will open with less effort. Paths that once confused you will feel clear, and even challenges will no longer intimidate you the way they once did, because you will face them knowing you are supported, guided, and protected. This is a good fortune time, not because everything will be perfect, but because you will be anchored. Storms may still come, but they will not control you. Uncertainty may still exist, but it will not paralyze you. You will notice that fear no longer has the same authority over your decisions, that peace begins to lead you instead of panic, that patience feels purposeful instead of painful. This is the season where your inner world catches up with the growth I've been doing within you, where confidence is quiet but unshakable, where gratitude flows naturally because you can finally see how far you have come. My child, your destiny is unfolding in layers, and this layer is marked by favor, clarity, and quiet breakthroughs. Small wins that add up, steady progress that feels sustainable, joy that does not depend on validation. You will begin to recognize that you are no longer who you were in survival mode. You are stepping into a version of yourself shaped by wisdom, softened by compassion, and strengthened by trust. This is a time where your words will carry weight. Your presence will bring peace to others, and your story will begin to inspire without you trying to impress anyone. You will attract what aligns with your healed heart, not what feeds your old wounds. And this alignment is a sign that your season has shifted. My child, expect moments where you pause and realize something feels different, lighter, steadier, more hopeful. And in those moments, remember that this is not coincidence. This is fulfillment in motion. Continue walking forward with humility, gratitude, and trust, because the good you are stepping into is meant to last, meant to grow, meant to bless not only you, but those connected to your journey. And as this favorable time unfolds, keep your heart open, your spirit grounded, and your faith steady, because what is beginning now is only the foundation of what is still forming ahead. And as this season continues to unfold, understand that what is happening now is a recalibration of your entire life. A divine realignment where things that once felt out of order begin to fall into place without force, without fear, without you having to beg or prove yourself. My child, this is the time when your intuition becomes sharper, because your spirit is finally quiet enough to listen, when discernment replaces confusion, when you no longer chase every voice but recognize mine immediately. This is a season of good fortune because wisdom is increasing alongside blessing, and wisdom protects what blessing provides. You will notice that you respond differently to situations that once drained you. That triggers lose their power, that temptations feel less attractive, not because you became stronger alone, but because your desires are being refined. This refinement is part of your favor because it keeps you aligned with what will last. Opportunities will come that test your patience rather than your desperation, and you will choose calmly instead of reacting emotionally. This is growth revealing itself through peace, not pressure. You are stepping into a time where your past no longer pulls you backward, where memories no longer control your mood, where forgiveness has loosened chains you carried longer than you realized. And as those chains fall, movement becomes easier, progress becomes steady, and joy becomes consistent. My child, good fortune does not always look like sudden wealth or dramatic change. Sometimes it looks like waking up without heaviness, making decisions without anxiety, trusting without overthinking, loving without fear of abandonment. And these internal victories are what prepare you for visible ones. This is a season where stability enters your life, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and practically, and stability is the soil where lasting success grows. You will begin to see that what once required effort now flows naturally. Conversations go smoother, plans align, timing improves, and resistance fades, because alignment reduces friction, and friction was never meant to be your permanent condition. This favorable time is also a season of recognition, not necessarily from crowds, but from the right people. The ones who see your value without you having to explain it. The ones who respect your boundaries. The ones who support your growth instead of competing with it. And these connections will feel different, peaceful, mutual, life-giving. This is not isolation ending randomly. This is connection arriving intentionally. My child, your good fortune is tied to your obedience, not perfection. Obedience to rest when I asked you to slow down. Obedience to let go when I asked you to release. obedience to trust when answers were unclear, and now that obedience is producing fruit you can taste. You will experience moments where gratitude rises spontaneously, not forced, not rehearsed, but natural, because peace has become your default rather than your exception. This is a time where your mind becomes a place of clarity rather than conflict, where your thoughts support your future instead of sabotaging it, where hope becomes logical again. This is the blessing of renewal, and it is unfolding quietly but steadily. My child, you are also entering a season of impact, where your healed presence begins to influence others without effort, where your calm becomes contagious, where your words bring comfort because they are rooted in lived truth, not theory. You will notice people opening up to you, seeking your perspective, feeling safe around you, and this is because you carry my peace, and peace always draws the weary. Do not shrink from this. Do not underestimate it. This is part of your calling, activating in a gentle way. This favorable time is also marked by protection. You will avoid things that once harmed you without even realizing how close you came. Delays will shield you. Redirections will save you. Closed doors will prevent regret, and later you will look back and recognize the mercy hidden inside those moments. This is what it means to walk under grace. Not everything will go according to your plan, but everything will move according to purpose. And purpose always leads to fulfillment. My child, your confidence will grow not from applause, but from alignment, from knowing that your steps are guided, that your effort is meaningful, that your future is not fragile. This is a season where you stop fearing loss because you trust provision, where you stop fearing failure because you understand growth.